vibe, cause we good over here. This joy can't be destroyed, I'm immune to despair. Now I'm setting my intentions, I learned from all my lessons. Took a minute to get the message, but it's finally clear. You've been hating all day and hating all night, worrying and whining, both waste your life. But if you take your time and focus on what's right, you would know.
Yo, we back at you with another one on today. We're going to talk about Darius Slay, the Detroit Lions, and Slay possibly returning to the Detroit Lions. It looks like Slay has put it out there as he was on the St. Brown's podcast, pretty much letting everybody know that he's willing to come back to Detroit and he's willing to play for Philly. Those are the only teams that he really wants to play for. And definitely I can't blame Darius Slay. He said Detroit is always going to be home. And you love that, man. You love that Slay, even though he left, he still has a heart for the city of Detroit, still respects what's going on in Detroit, and still would love to be a part of this Detroit roster. Now, in order for Darius Slay to be a part of this team, pretty much Darius is probably going to have to be cut by he's going to have to be a salary cap casualty with the Philadelphia Eagles, and they decide not to pick up his 1-year option remaining with the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the Eagles could decide to let him play out the remainder of his contract and bring him back for his last season. It looks like Slay wants to play one more year, and looks like he'll be eventually hanging the cleats up. And if the Detroit Lions decide to bring Slay in and allow him to be the CB1 and let Tyrion Arnold slide over to CB2, because pretty much you want to continue to groom Enos Rakestraw, then I'm down with it. I'm cool with it. I think that it'll be a cool thing for Darius Slay to come in here and mentor these young guys and get these guys really headed in the right direction. We know that Slay was one of the best corners for the Detroit Lions when he was a Detroit Lion. He never wanted to go over to the Philadelphia because he always wanted to stay a part of Detroit. But he ended up getting traded by Matt Patricia and Resign. And pretty much he made the most of it, man. And it was kind of crazy, man. I remember when he got traded and when he first had his first game against the Detroit Lions. And if I can remember, Darius Slay had an interception for a touchdown against us, man. That was crazy. So it was kind of funny seeing Slay in another uniform going against us and then having a pick six against us. So, man, it was just funny how things work out, though. But, you know, by him talking and just saying on the St. Brown podcast that he wants to either come to Philly or Detroit, hey, man, I'm down with it. If he just stays in Philly and Philly decides to keep him, then, hey, it is what it is. We're just going to have to get better with the position, and we're going to have to go out and get other free agents like Ward, or maybe we decide to bring back Carlton Davis, not knowing what type of money Carlton Davis is going to want for his services. But the Detroit Lions have the option of bringing back Carlton Davis and signing him maybe on a 2-year, 3-year deal. I don't know. I don't know what Brad Holmes is going to be cooking. But at the same time, we know that Brad is always looking for bargains. He's always going to be looking for the deals. And nothing is wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with looking for deals and trying to get guys to come in on cheaper rates and stuff like that. But at the same time, if you're trying to go to the Super Bowl, you're going to have to get the pieces on this team to be able to do it. And now with Darius Slay being a Super Bowl champion, definitely we know that he knows what it takes to win a Super Bowl now. They pretty much dog walked the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Nobody thought that the Eagles would probably blow them out the way that they did, but the Eagles came back with a vengeance this season, and definitely and rightfully so, man. You know, because when the Eagles played the Chiefs the last time, I think they lost 38-35, something like that. So it was a very close Super Bowl, but this time they came in and they was focused, and they came back with Saquon Barkley, even though they kind of slowed Barkley down, and pretty much Jalen Hurts and the rest of those guys like Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown was able to step up their game, and Jalen Hurts being able to do what he did. Ultimately, the Philadelphia Eagles went off and won the Super Bowl this season. But definitely, man, if the Lions decide to bring back Darius Slay, I'm fine with it. I'm cool with it. I think that it'll be an awesome thing for a guy like him to come in and mentor these young corners. I think if Slay comes in, he'll move to the number 1. And then Tyrion Arnold will slide over to 2. And then you can still groom Enos Rakestraw and make him prepare for the position a year later. So we'll see, man, what happens. Shout out to Darius Slay. Still got respect and love for the Detroit Lions and said that he's willing to come back. Man, imagine if we could get him and Sue back on this team. If Sue would just come back and suit up and just say, hey, look, while Liam McNeil is out, hey, you know what? I'll come in and help you guys and do whatever this team needs. And then that way the Lions could double up and get 2 defensive ends. So, that's just wishful thinking, man. I wish that the Lions could walk away with 2 defensive ends, man, and bring back Darius Slay and Sue. Why not? Why not let those guys finish their career in Detroit? But I don't think that Sue is going to come back. I don't think he's going to sue back up. But just a little bit of wishful thinking, man. But Darius Slay said he's definitely willing to come back to the Detroit Lions in his last season and get it done and help these young Lions out, man. I think a lot of people have drawn a liking to this team, to this Lions team, in the way that Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes has built this team and structured this team. Now it's going to be Brad Holmes' job to go out there and get the players to be able to get this team over the hump. So we know that it's Brad Holmes' job to be able to tweak this defense and get this defense where it needs to be. And definitely, man, the schedule is going to be a lot tough for the Detroit Lions coming in this season. And we know that we're going to be without Liam McNeil. And we know that Hutch is still coming back from his injury. And, you know what I'm saying, we know how the season went with Marcus Davenport. Really didn't want Marcus Davenport. I don't know why Brad Holmes went after him. But at the same time, man, we have to be able to get over that hump, be able to draft correctly, go get some young pass rushers. And if we can't get Myles Garrett, or we can't get Max Crosby, be able to bring in a guy like Khalil Mack who will be able to help this team. Maybe you bring Khalil Mack on a 1 year, $7 million deal or $8 million deal or something like that, and bring in Khalil Mack to help this team out and hit the draft and grab some young guys that you can groom. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the Lions are going to have to get this defense better, and grabbing Slay for another season and bringing him into Detroit would be cool. I'm not opposed against it, and I think that it'll be a wonderful thing for the young corners to be able to learn from a guy like Darius Slay, who has the veteran leadership that these guys can definitely follow. So we'll see, man, what Brad Holmes will be cooking. All right, guys, this is Raw Detroit. Peace.